Hey everybody, welcome to 0 Mile ADV, a true beginner's guide to adventure motorcycling from a true beginner's perspective. Today we're going to talk about did I potentially solve my biggest complaint with the KTM 1290 Super Adventure S. It's been a really great bike. I have two major complaints. If you haven't seen another video, I've talked about things that I don't necessarily like about the bike. Some things have changed as I've put more miles on it. I've gotten close to 3,000 miles on the bike, so some things have changed a little bit. One of them that hasn't is the blinker. The blinker is still terrible. I've gotten a lot of comments about like, oh, well, the blinker's automatic. It should just fix itself. It isn't really automatic. Sometimes it doesn't go off and you're still fighting with that weird shape to get it off. Anyways, but that's another story. But did I potentially find another solution to fix my biggest complaint that really should be a no-brainer for every adventure bike? So stay tuned and let's find out. Okay, so if you can't tell by the labeling on this box, it might give it away as to what it is, but let's go ahead and open it up and find out what's in the box. Alright, so what do we have here? We have a custom saddle from Corbin. I should say kind of semi-custom. You can change all of the different pieces on this saddle. Now, I personally went with what they had kind of chosen because I feel like this carbon fiber weave and then this vinyl probably pretty good in the weather and like the dirt and the muck. This is a heated seat, so it's got this switch to heat the rear, I believe, as opposed to just the front. Maybe it's both, but we'll have to take a look. So as you can tell, my biggest complaint with the KTM has been the seat. My butt goes numb after about an hour, hour and a half. So I got this seat made and we'll see if it solves the problem. So I'm going to take this apart, I'm going to get it on the bike, and then we'll see if it fixes our problem. Alright guys, that was it. Super easy install, took a couple minutes, even with the wiring and kind of patching it into the couple of actual extra little fuse connectors or whatever they're called in the back. It was super easy. On initial impressions, feels pretty good. Definitely going to be taller than the other seat I had. And when I first got this bike, if you saw, one of the top reasons I got it is because I wanted a low seat height when I first got a bike. Now that I've gotten used to it, probably realizing that wasn't such a big deal because I've gotten pretty comfortable with riding a bigger bike, and so in this case now I'm not so much concerned about the height, and this seat's actually going to sit up quite a bit higher. It actually fills the gap a lot nicer than the lower kind of profile seat or whatever KTM calls it, their power part seat that's heated that I got. So now, and I also think the pillion seat is also heated now, which is cool. So heated all the way through, definitely more comfortable, fills the gap a lot better. I'll do a couple shots, but we'll get it out and we'll take it for a ride up the mesa and kind of see how it feels and see if it's actually solved all of my problems. All right, so we did a quick ride on the new Corbin seat. It took about 30 minutes or so, just a quick ride up here to the base of Powderhorn Ski Resort. As you can see, we're almost there. We're at about, I think, 9,000 feet, because I think at the base it's about 9,000, and then you're about 11,000 once you get to the top. Quite a bit nicer up here actually too. Went from about 85 degrees down in the valley to about a solid 65 degrees down here, or up here at the base of Powderhorn. So what are my initial thoughts on the Corbin saddle? So one thing that I first noticed, if we look at the seat here, it appears to sit flatter. So with the KTM Power Part seat, it seemed to kind of sit lower. into it, and it kind of pushes you into the bike as you're riding it. So I noticed a lot that as I was riding the old Power Part seat, it would like kind of push my boxer shorts like up and like push my pants up, and especially on longer rides I'd have to get up and kind of shake my legs out and kind of get everything to fall back down into place. So with this seat sitting a little bit flatter, definitely far more comfortable there. Another thing is I expected it to be a lot plusher. I thought I was going to get on this thing and it was going to be like a cruiser seat. I recently test rode a Harley Davidson Road King Special, and when you sit in that seat, it's like sitting on a sofa almost. It's super comfortable. But thinking about it, like on this adventure bike, you probably don't want a super plush saddle or seat, especially when you fire up the KTM, it says ready to race. So it makes me also think that with KTM, you know, they give you this harder kind of saddle, as in like your kind of real connection. You have a kind of a good feeling, solid connection and feeling to the bike. And with this seat, you still definitely do have that. Had you would have told me that the saddle was this seat, sorry, I'm so used to using saddle on mountain bikes, was going to be this firm, I may not have ordered it, but it is definitely wider. So if you look here, this back piece is definitely wider. This inside here is also wider. So it definitely gives you more to sit on, but it is definitely a firmer foam, but it's not uncomfortable. So depending on what kind of sleeper you are, like maybe you have a firm mattress, this might be a good seat for you. Now I do want to get it on like a good long 2-hour plus ride, because usually about an hour to an hour and a half into my ride is when I start to get bad pressure points. I start like having to stand up and just getting really uncomfortable, only after about an hour and a half with the old KTM seat. So I'm interested to see how this one does. Definitely in the twisties on the way on the canyon coming up here, didn't feel like I lost any connection to the bike. The bike still felt great under me, still felt ready to race. I did get to sit on the Pan America, the Harley Davidson Pan America, the Triumph Tiger 1200 Adventure, and a GSA or BMW 1250 GS Adventure model. All of those seats super soft when you get on them. So as soon as you sit on the bike, you kind of feel like, oh, I could ride this all day. However, I would be interested to see how those seats hold up after a while. So if you have one of those bikes and you have one of those seats, leave me a comment below and let me know your thoughts on how that saddle holds up, because this one I definitely feel like will handle, it'll probably pack out and get softer over time, but definitely being firmer, I feel like it'll last quite a while. Now this seat also definitely isn't cheap. I think this seat here costs about, I think for this model, which is just basically how they built it. So with this carbon fiber weave, the black vinyl sides, and the kind of KTM orange piping, as well as the heating element in the bike, I think it's about 800 bucks for this seat. So maybe that's why GSAs are quite a bit more expensive, because they pretty much come ready to ride for long rides. And that's my biggest complaint with the KTM. It's an adventure bike. It's meant to tour, right? Like you're meant to go on longer rides with it. And I think the seat should be one thing that they kind of have dialed in, so you shouldn't have to buy a more expensive seat. But also maybe that explains why it's cheaper than the BMW, because you know, the BMW seat, it's ready to ride all day, every day. Now, I haven't spent a lot of time on a BMW, obviously, because I'm new to adventure biking. I'm new to motorcycling as a whole. So who knows? Maybe this is still a better deal, because I think even with all the gear I have on this, still cheaper than a BMW 1250 GS. And everybody's chasing the GS, right? Like when it comes to adventure bikes, everybody's chasing the GS. So with that being said, if you have a GS and you've had one for a while, leave a comment below. How's your seat held up? Do you find it to be comfortable? Also Tiger 1200, and maybe anybody out there that's on that Pan America that has that softer seat as well, let me know your thoughts there. But so far, the Corbin seat definitely seems like a worthwhile upgrade. If you made it this far, please like, subscribe to my channel. It definitely helps. And until then, stay safe out there.